It's over.
The courtroom was silent as the judge raised her gavel. After months of testimony, sealed documents, and emotional breakdowns, the verdict was finally in, and when it landed, it hit like a thunderclap across the Sister Wives universe. Kody Brown, once the confident patriarch of a plural family dynasty, had just been formally banned from Coyote Pass. Yes, banned. Not suspended, not limited, not restricted, banned. Permanently, by court order. The land he once bragged about, the land he promised each wife a slice of. The sacred ground that was supposed to be his legacy. Gone. To understand how we got here, we need to rewind the clock, back to the day everything started falling apart. It wasn't Christine walking away that destroyed the illusion. It was what came after, the digging, the court filings, the financial paper trail. Christine hadn't just left Kody emotionally, she had left him legally, and she wanted answers. Coyote Pass wasn't just real estate, it was a promise. A vision Kody used to bind his wives together in the later years of the show. "Once we build here, everything will change," he often said. But it never changed. Instead, what surfaced in court painted a much darker reality. Court records revealed that while the wives had been told they co-owned Coyote Pass, the legal documentation said otherwise. Christine's name was missing entirely. And Janelle, she had been paying taxes on land that, technically, Kody held majority title over, along with one very interesting detail. Robyn's name was added shortly after their legal marriage. That was the first red flag. But then came the accusations of misrepresentation and misappropriation of assets. Christine, with her new legal team, presented damning evidence: internal family texts, voicemails, and most powerfully, a 2021 draft of a land allocation agreement that Kody had promised to send out, but never did. The court wasn't just looking at ownership. They were looking at deception, intentional deception, especially once financial records tied to the TLC production checks showed Kody had used funds earmarked for joint family construction to pay down Robyn's mortgage, not to develop Coyote Pass. Janelle was devastated. She had poured savings into RV life, believing her reward would be her own home on that land. Instead, she found herself camped out on soil that the court ruled she had no legal right to, despite Kody's repeated promises, and that's when the bombshell dropped. A whistleblower, a former legal aide with ties to Kody's title lawyer, testified via deposition. They had seen the papers. In early 2022, Kody attempted to transfer a portion of the land meant for Christine directly into Robyn's name. Secretly, without informing the other wives, the court took that very seriously, not just as a matter of betrayal, but as a potential act of fraud. Suddenly, this wasn't just a family drama. It was a legal disaster. In a courtroom packed with reporters, attorneys, and family members, the judge didn't mince words. The court finds that Mr. Kody Brown acted in bad faith by obscuring property interests, diverting shared resources, and withholding documentation in a manner that constitutes material misrepresentation. And then came the sentence. Effective immediately, Kody Brown is prohibited from representing, developing, or residing on any parcel of the property known as Coyote Pass. He was banned, Christine gasped. Janelle put her hand over her mouth. Robyn burst into tears. And Kody? He stood frozen, lips tight, eyes unfocused, as if the entire foundation of his life had just crumbled beneath him. The land was no longer his. And the family. Well, it hadn't been for a long time. But the story doesn't end here. Because while Kody was forced to step away, another name was quietly added to the deed, and it shocked everyone. Who gained control of Coyote Pass? When the court ruled that Kody Brown was permanently banned from Coyote Pass, the shock rippled through the family. But what came next was even more surprising. Because while Kody was forced out, someone else had quietly taken his place. Buried deep in the court documents, past the verdict, past the fraud disclosures, past the emotional statements, was one page that changed everything. The updated deed. It showed new ownership allocations for Coyote Pass. And there, newly listed as co-title holder alongside Janelle, was Kody Brown, the same Kody who had walked away from the family, the same Kody who had packed up and moved to Utah, the same Kody who had once said, "I don't want anything to do with that land again." Now she owned it. And the timing, impeccable. Legal insiders said Kody's team had worked behind the scenes for months, preparing to file a civil claim of misrepresentation. But once the fraud case moved forward, they saw a faster path to justice: acquisition through court order. The judge agreed, and once it became clear that Kody had misused funds and created false expectations of shared ownership, the court granted partial title transfer as compensation. It was bold, it was strategic, and it caught everyone off guard, including Kody himself. In his final statement to the court, he reportedly said, "I made promises, maybe I didn't follow through in the right way, but they weren't lies, they were intentions." The judge disagreed. Kody, however, said very little. She stood outside the courthouse that day with a simple statement to the press: "I didn't ask for anything more than what I was owed. This land was never about money, it was about respect." Inside sources say Robyn was devastated by the transfer. She had believed right up until the verdict that she and Kody would develop the property together, that it would be their fresh start, their forever home. Now it was gone. And with Kody banned, her stake had no active partner. But Robyn wasn't the only one caught off guard. Janelle, who had lived on Coyote Pass in an RV through freezing winters and blistering heat, was shocked to learn that Kody now shared the title. Janelle's reaction, mixed. On one hand, she respected Kody's persistence. On the other, she felt blindsided. In a closed-door meeting with the court's mediator, Janelle reportedly said, "I lived there, I sacrificed. Kody didn't even want it. Now she owns part of it. That doesn't feel fair." But Kody's lawyers were quick to point out, Janelle never filed a formal claim. Kody did, and when the case went to trial, the judge could only reward those who presented legal standing, and Kody, he was silent. After the verdict, he disappeared from social media. Friends say he returned to Robyn's home and refused all interview requests. Coyote Pass was now divided, and not just in land but in loyalty. The very vision Kody had once used to unify his wives had become the battlefield where they broke apart. But while Kody and Janelle tried to navigate their new roles as landowners, another twist emerged, one that involved paperwork receipts, and a set of emails that suggested something even more scandalous had happened during the Coyote Pass years. According to leaked files from a former TLC producer, Kody had attempted to lease part of Coyote Pass without telling any of the wives. The lease for a proposed RV rental business. The money rumored to be funneled through a shadow LLC registered in Nevada. And here's the kicker: Robyn's signature appeared on the proposal. The court hadn't ruled on that yet, but legal experts said, if proven true, it could result in yet another lawsuit, this time for concealed profits and illegal use of jointly claimed land. So where did that leave the Browns? Divided, suspicious, and no longer under one roof, real or imagined. The show may still bear the name Sister Wives, but the sisterhood was long gone. And Kody, he was about to face a brand new challenge. One, not in a courtroom, but in the eyes of the IRS. That's right, because the fraud ruling triggered a federal review. The courtroom may have gone quiet, but behind the scenes, another investigation had just begun. Because when the judge handed down the verdict, banning Kody Brown from Coyote Pass, it didn't just end a property dispute, it triggered a deeper audit. One that would expose a tangled web of finances, shell companies, and undocumented income. And this time, the federal government was involved. According to legal insiders, the $3 million in diverted funds referenced in the Coyote Pass case raised multiple red flags. Not just for the court, but for the IRS. Kody had always portrayed himself as a man trying to make plural marriage work in a modern world. But now, investigators were asking a different question. Had Kody used his family brand to shield personal profit? It started with KR Holdings, the same LLC mentioned in earlier court documents. At first glance, it appeared to be a business used for managing property development at Coyote Pass. But a deeper look revealed something more troubling. The LLC had received multiple wire transfers, not from TLC directly, but from a secondary production partner used for licensing payments. These payments were substantial, totaling over $1.1 million over 3 years. And here's the kicker. The distributions were listed solely under Kody and Robyn's names. No mention of Janelle, no mention of Christine, no documentation showing shared access or redistribution among family members. This wasn't just bad optics, it was potential tax fraud, because according to the show's original contracts, payments from production were to be disbursed to a family managed trust, a vehicle meant to reflect their plural marriage status. But that trust hadn't existed in over 4 years. In its place, 2 LLCs, both registered in Nevada, with only Kody and Robyn listed as managers. Christine's attorney obtained internal financial documents from a whistleblower tied to the production team. Among them was a memo, dated 2021, that outlined a strategy to streamline assets under fewer names for tax efficiency. Translations stripped the other wives out of the money flow. The IRS took notice. Within weeks of the court's Coyote Pass ruling, agents launched a preliminary audit of Kody's business filings, and what they uncovered painted a picture of a family brand that had been quietly funneled into a 2-person operation. In plain terms, Kody and Robyn had become a financial partnership, not a plural family unit. Janelle, who had been paying out of pocket for land taxes and living in an RV, was left speechless. One family insider revealed she felt used financially and emotionally. "I believed in the family structure," she reportedly told a friend. But the structure was a lie. Meanwhile, Christine had moved on. In interviews following the verdict, she expressed both relief and a quiet satisfaction. "I asked questions for years," she said. "I was gaslit every time. Now I have answers. Now I have proof." But the biggest twist came when the IRS sent a formal notice to Kody's attorneys, requesting a complete review of the last 6 years of income related to Coyote Pass development, TLC contracts, and personal endorsements. Kody was officially under federal review, Robyn too, and the consequences could go far beyond court fees or refunds. Experts speculated that if criminal fraud or intentional misreporting was proven, jail time was not off the table. For years, critics had accused the Brown family of exploiting loopholes, marrying spiritually to avoid bigamy charges, using family businesses to sidestep taxes, and blending personal and business expenses. But now, that house of cards was beginning to collapse, and as Kody withdrew further from the spotlight, those left behind began telling their stories. Janelle opened up in a private podcast interview, stating, "We were all actors in his narrative. We gave him our loyalty, he gave us promises. But only Robyn got the payout." With Christine and Janelle now holding title to Coyote Pass, and Kody banned, a new chapter was beginning. But it wasn't a peaceful one, because new documents were just leaked, revealing a second trust fund, one the wives never knew existed. And who controlled it? You guessed it, Robyn Brown. As investigators peeled back the layers of Kody Brown's financial web, one name began appearing again and again: Robyn. While the courtroom focused on land rights and shared ownership, behind the scenes, auditors had stumbled onto something much more personal: a hidden financial vehicle set up years ago, a trust fund. Not the one the family had discussed on camera, the one intended to benefit all the children. This one was different. It was called the Brown Family Legacy Trust, but only 2 people were listed as trustees: Kody Brown and Robyn Brown. No Janelle, No Christine, not even Meri. The trust had been quietly created in 2018. According to documents leaked by an anonymous former accountant, its stated purpose: to ensure continuity of assets for the surviving family unit in the event of income disruption. But here's where it gets murky. Despite its title, Brown Family Legacy, the fund had been receiving deposits not just from TLC payouts, but from brand partnerships, real estate transfers, and endorsement deals tied to the family name. Over $400,000 had been moved into the trust over a 3-year period. And when Christine's legal team confronted the court with this evidence, jaws dropped. Because it wasn't just the existence of the trust that shocked everyone, it was who benefited from it. According to the leaked beneficiary agreement, the trust guaranteed financial security for Robyn's 5 children, and no one else. Yes, you heard that right. Not Christine's kids. Not Janelle's, not even Logan, the eldest, who had helped raise the younger siblings. Just Robyn's branch of the family tree, and the worst part: the other wives had never been told. In court depositions, both Christine and Janelle testified that Kody had promised an equal trust for all children, that it was a pillar of the plural marriage: shared love, shared family, shared resources. But now it was clear. The sharing stopped at Robyn's door. Robyn's defense: she claimed ignorance. Through her attorney, she stated, Robyn did not create the trust, nor did she manage it. She relied on Kody's financial advice and assumed any funds deposited were in the family's best interest. But the documents told a different story. Emails showed Robyn had signed off on multiple transfers. One in particular stood out: a $60,000 deposit from a Flagstaff land sale marked Proceeds, Legacy Preservation. The land was partially owned by Christine at the time, and Christine never saw a dime. Janelle was furious. During a private mediation session, she reportedly said he used the word ours when he meant theirs. He told me we were a team, and he was setting up a future I wasn't even invited to. But why keep it all hidden? That's the question Christine's lawyer asked in court, and the answer came from a newly surfaced email. One Kody had sent to a financial advisor in 2019. It read, I need this set up discreetly. The wives don't always agree on money decisions. I want to make sure Robyn and I can protect our portion without interference. There it was, in writing, the final betrayal. And suddenly, Kody's entire empire began to unravel. TLC pulled back from production, public sympathy shifted sharply toward the ex-wives, and longtime fans began asking a painful question: had the show been built on manipulation all along? Christine released a statement on social media simply saying, This isn't about revenge, it's about truth. My kids deserve it, all our kids do. And then, something unexpected happened. A new lawsuit was filed, but this time, it wasn't Christine, it wasn't Janelle, it was Meri. Yais, the quietest of the wives, the one who had stayed the longest, the one who kept hoping things would work out. Meri had filed a civil suit of her own for emotional damages, financial deception, and years of withheld assets, and at the center of her claim, the trust fund. For over a decade, Meri Brown had been the quiet one, the first wife, the loyal wife. The wife who endured the emotional distance, the loss of legal status, the spiritual separation, all while maintaining her place in the family. But in the wake of the Coyote Pass verdict and the explosive discovery of Robyn's secret trust fund, Meri finally reached her breaking point, and she chose to make her move. In court, it wasn't about land, it wasn't about money, it was about recognition. In her civil suit, Meri accused Kody of long-term emotional manipulation, misrepresentation of marital partnership, and willful exclusion from financial decision, making that directly impacted her well-being and her future. It was a bombshell. Her suit cited journal entries, text messages, and emails spanning nearly 9 years. They painted a picture of a woman pushed to the margins of a family she helped build, while one wife slowly absorbed the benefits meant for all. Among the evidence was a text Kody had sent to Meri in 2016. It read, "Let's focus on healing. I'll make sure you're taken care of when the Coyote Pass development starts." But it never started, and when Meri asked to co-sign a parcel in 2018, Kody reportedly told her, "It's better if we keep things simple. Don't worry, Robyn and I are handling the legal side." That decision, that moment, became the foundation of her claim. But it wasn't just what Kody said, it was what he didn't. In court, Meri testified about years of silence, being shut out of family planning meetings, having her name removed from the business license of their family, owned bed and breakfast, watching Robyn's children be given college funds, while hers received nothing, and worst of all, the night she discovered the trust fund, Meri had stumbled upon the information by accident, through a shared drive tied to a former family accountant. The discovery left her numb, as she described in her written statement. "All this time," she wrote, "I thought we were healing. I thought we were a work in progress, but I was already erased." The courtroom that day was heavy with silence as Meri gave her testimony. Even the judge paused to acknowledge her courage, stating, "The court recognizes the emotional toll placed on Mrs. Brown through long-standing verbal assurances never fulfilled and the systematic redirection of resources to another partner." Kody remained mostly expressionless. Only once did he speak directly in court during Meri's testimony, to say, "We weren't married anymore. I thought she moved on." Meri's voice cracked in response. "I stayed, I waited, I believed you." And in the front row, Robyn wept silently. But public sympathy had shifted. Online support for Meri surged. Former critics praised her courage, and family insiders say even Janelle and Christine, who had once grown distant from Meri, reached out privately to offer support. But the legal impact was more than emotional. The judge ruled that Meri was entitled to a formal financial audit of all family trust assets and a potential share of proceeds if the trust was deemed to have drawn on collective marital funds during the period of their spiritual union translation. If the money was earned while Meri was still part of the family, she may be entitled to a portion, whether Kody and Robyn liked it or not. It was a huge win, but more importantly, it was validation. For the first time in years, Meri wasn't just a side character in the family saga, she was the headline, and that headline was about to get even bigger because just as Meri's case moved forward, a final twist emerged: a video from inside the Flagstaff home, recorded secretly by one of the Brown children. It captured a moment, a conversation, that would turn the entire Robyn narrative on its head. A conversation in which Robyn said something that could change everything. It started as a whisper. A rumor circulating through the family that someone had footage, real, raw footage, that proved Robyn Brown knew far more than she claimed about the secret trust fund, the diverted land titles, and the isolation of the other wives. But no one expected it to surface in court, until it did. As Meri's civil suit gained momentum, and Kody's financial empire came under further scrutiny, an anonymous file was submitted to the court clerk. It was flagged as exhibit material and quickly verified. The file contained a single, unedited video clip, recorded in the Flagstaff home by one of the older Brown children who had once been close to Robyn. In the clip, Robyn is seen speaking with Kody in the family kitchen. The camera angle is tilted, slightly obstructed by a cabinet, clearly not staged. The audio is clear. Robyn says, "Kody, just move the money. They're not watching the accounts." Christine is too busy with her show, and Janelle's still stuck on that RV nonsense. "They'll never know," Kody responds. "What about Meri?" And Robyn answers without pause. She's out emotionally, financially, spiritually. Just do it. Silence falls in the courtroom as the clip plays. The air is thick with tension. Even the judge shifts in her seat. Robyn stares at the monitor, frozen. She doesn't cry, she doesn't speak. She just sits there, exposed. The footage lasts only 47 seconds. But its impact is permanent. because for years, Robyn had claimed she was not involved in Kody's financial decisions, that she just followed his lead, that she never wanted to divide the family. But the video showed something else. It showed planning, consent, and silence. Christine turned away. Janelle closed her eyes. Meri wept openly. The judge ordered the video admitted into the official case record. A new hearing was scheduled to determine whether Robyn's previous testimony constituted perjury. And for the first time since the family dissolved, even the most loyal fans could no longer deny the truth. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a plan, a strategy to consolidate wealth, power, and legacy under one roof. The Flagstaff mansion wasn't a dream. It was a fortress. Coyote Pass wasn't a family project. It was leverage and the sister wives. They were assets until they weren't. In her final court appearance, Christine addressed the gallery. She didn't look at Kody. She didn't even look at Robyn. She looked straight ahead and said, "We told our story to the world." But behind the scenes, there was another version. The one they didn't want you to see. I'm glad you've seen it now. The judge's ruling was swift. All assets tied to car holdings, the family's production revenue streams, and the Brown Family Legacy Trust were frozen, pending forensic audit. Kody remained banned from Coyote Pass. Robyn was placed under financial investigation, and Meri was granted a full damages review. As for the land, Christine and Janelle announced plans to donate a portion of Coyote Pass to a domestic abuse shelter for women escaping coercive religious environments. Symbolic, poetic, powerful. But is this truly the end? Not quite, because just days after the final hearing, a former TLC producer came forward with this claim. There's more footage, real footage. Stuff that was cut, buried, or never aired, and it shows what really went on when the cameras stopped rolling. And now attorneys are calling for a subpoena of TLC's unaired tapes. What's on those tapes? And how far did the cover-up really go? That's where the next story begins. If you thought this was the end of the Kody Brown saga, think again. There's more to come. More tapes. More testimony. More truth. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because in our next video, we're diving into the deleted TLC footage that could take this scandal to a whole new level. And trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming.